So in 2022, an act was passed at Congress called the Inflation Reduction Act. And that bill has a lot of information in it, but how it relates to Medicare is it changes some aspects of Medicare Part D. And as most of you guys know, Medicare Part D is the drug portion of Medicare. And the thing about Medicare Part D has been this dreaded thing for years called the donut hole. And basically, what that means is that you get to a point in the calendar year that once your prescription drug costs reach a certain dollar amount, then at that point, you have to start paying 25% of your prescription drug cost. Many, many years ago, you used to have to pay 100% of your drug cost. But as of 2025, so this coming January, the donut hole completely goes away. And for the first time in history of Medicare Part D, which has been around a little over 20 years now, we're going to have a maximum out of pocket for prescription drug cost. So as you go throughout the year in 2025, paying your prescription drug costs, so somebody may pay $1 or $50 or $100 for medicine. The most your prescription drug costs can be in 2025 is $2,000. That's the max. After that, your co-payments for your prescriptions for every prescription drug that you take will be zero. So when you go to the pharmacy to pick up a medicine, at the beginning of the year, you're going to have a deductible. And a deductible basically means how much you have to pay up front before the insurance starts to pay. Once you meet that deductible, then you pay your co-payment, which is a fixed dollar amount, until your total out-of-pocket expend gets to $2,000. After that, when you go to pick up your medicines, they will be a zero co-payment. When it comes to diabetic medications, there was with the Inflation Reduction Act, a rule that was passed, or a rule that went into effect a couple of years ago, was where insulins are all capped at $35. But take something like Ozempic or Mounjaro. Those are not insulins, so those are not capped at $35. But what happens is that if you take an insulin, you're paying $35. Well, your $35 insulin cost is going toward that $2,000. If you take Ozempic and maybe you're paying $47 for Ozempic, once you have spent $2,000 in your prescription drug cost in a calendar year, then it's not going to cost you anything else for the rest of the calendar year. So take, for example, somebody who is on a very, very expensive drug. And in the past, January, February, and March, maybe they're paying $500, $1,000 for your prescriptions, and you do that, essentially throughout the year. Well, now, if they did that in a couple of months, they will have met their max out of pocket and their prescriptions will be zero for the rest of the calendar year. Another thing that's really unique about the Inflation Reduction Act and what's changing in 2025 is if you know that at the end of the year that your prescription drugs are going to be $2,000, the government has enacted something where you can pay a level amount throughout the year through what's called the Medicare Prescription Drug Payment Plan. So if I know that I'm going to spend $2,000 in prescription drugs, I can call my insurance company's member services line and say, I want to sign up for a payment plan very similar to what you do with your power bill. So I go to the pharmacy and I will pay one flat rate. So let's assume it's $165 that I pay every month. Well, over the course of the year, that's going to add up to $2,000. So I'm going to pay one flat rate if I choose to do that every month. I just have to call my insurance company to have that done. So I can pay my full cost monthly. And then once that reaches $2,000, then I'm not going to pay anything else for the rest of the year. Or I can have it broken up into monthly payments starting in 2025.